Hey guys, back again with another impressions video on this game, Little Battler's Experience for the 3DS, a game that got little fanfare. Yeah, this game just kind of came out of nowhere. I haven't really heard many people talk about this game. It didn't get very many reviews, and it's based on this series has been I think at least fairly popular in Japan for a while now. And this game in particular, this isn't even the newest game in the series. This is an older game. I think there's even two games after this one on the 3DS out in Japan. But we got this one developed by Level 5, and it's basically a customizable robot combat game, similar to, say, Custom Robo or actually Gotcha Force. And those are the two games that it reminded me of before I had actually played the game. Actually playing the game, it reminded me of Pokemon a lot, especially with the visuals and just like the modern kind of town that you're going, you're exploring. Unfortunately, though, sometimes there's games like this that I'm just not that crazy about, and I'll be honest, I'm actually not that big on this game. Now, it's not a terrible game by any means. It's I don't know. It's okay, and I haven't actually finished this game. I'm about 12 hours into it, and I don't think I'm going to continue with it. Um, at least for now. There's just so many games out right now and so many other games I'd rather be playing than to spend time on a game that I find fairly average. And I'll talk about my issues with this game, but if it appeals to you, if looking at gameplay or whatever, it really seems like your kind of thing. I'd say it's perhaps worth a shot, but I don't know. I wasn't into this game too much. In fact, I like Gotcha Force Custom Robo. I think those games are much better than this. This game just, I don't know. It feels just very generic, this game. But where should we start with this game? The story, which right off the bat, it's kind of interesting, where little battlers, I think that's what they're called, right? They basically came out as a toy line for kids, where kids would battle with these robots, but they were considered too dangerous, so they got banned from you couldn't sell these things. But eventually, these armored boxes got made, and then that made LBX have a comeback of sorts, where you could actually play with them safely, or kids could play with them. And in the world here, they're all the rage. Every kid, everybody, every single person you talk to in this game is just talking about LBX. So it's similar. That's why it kind of reminds me of Pokemon in a way. But the main story, you play as a young kid. I forget what his name is. Van Yamato, I think his name was. And it's your basic kind of, well, it's not even basic, it's weird. The story is crazy in this game, where like the villains in this game are trying to assassinate the prime minister with LBX robots. Like, so that sounds crazy and awesome, right? But the story is so boring, at least for me. Like, the dialogue is so dry in this game, and I like 2 hours in, I was basically just skipping through dialogue, and this game is very dialogue heavy. It's way too talky. Like, I always just wanted to get to the action, and there's just constant dialogue, and the main story, I just found it incredibly boring. It sounds odd. A game where, the villains are trying to assassinate the prime minister with robots, and a game aimed at children, really, where that's happening, and the story is somehow boring. I don't know. They managed to pull that off, but yeah, not into the story in this game, and that's one of the main reasons why I've dropped it. Gameplay's decent. It's a weird game though, where you have a party of up to three characters. Like, you have your main character, and then you have two other characters that can join you in battles sometimes, and they each have their own robot. So you have your robot. You can customize the parts: left hand, right hand, chest, head, and boots. And you can mix and match different pieces. There's armor sets. There's a vast array of weapons for you to use, and you fight in these boxes, like I said, these armored boxes. And you fight in these environments, very small environments with invisible walls, which really pissed me off. And it's it's third person. Battles are in third person. The battles remind me of Gotcha Force actually, where you have a reticle on the enemies and you can swap between enemies that you're aiming at. You have guns too. There's guns, but you use there's even like a sniper rifle type gun you can use, which is really weird. But all the guns play pretty differently. You have a dash that you can do. You can jump. There's small combos you can do. There's special attack routines is what they call them, where you can like there's like a Tetris mini game type thing where you have to like assign a core memory and all these parts to your robot. But you can get these special moves called special attack routines that if you fill this certain gauge, I forget what it's called. I think the capture gauge or something like that. If you fill it up to certain levels, you can unleash these really powerful attacks that have their own cutscenes, and those are cool. The combat is fairly fast paced and it's enjoyable. It's a tad clunky, I feel, especially with the heavier robots because robots have speed classes. I went with the lighter robot classes, but it's a tad clunky. The controls take a little to getting used to, but once you kind of understand how the combat works, it's fairly fun. Although some of the enemy AI can be really annoying. I've fought some robots that would just spam certain attacks over and over again. But I don't know, the fights are generally enjoyable. They're probably my favorite aspect of the game. I also like the customization. There's a lot of customization. There's a shop you can go to where you can buy parts. There's like a raffle machine of sorts where you can pay credits and get random parts. So it's really fun trying to go for the different sets. But it's everything in between the fights that I just can't stand. There's sections of the game with random battles actually where you'll walk from point A to point B in these story missions, and random battles will just happen. And if you run away from them, you really don't want to run away from them because your mechs will have maintenance issues. Yeah, you have to actually deal with maintenance on your robots too. But I don't know, the random battles I thought just started to get a little tiring. There's side quests for you to tackle. They're really dull, honestly. They're just fetch quests and then quests where you have to fight, participate in some battles. And then there's annoying side quests where you have to have a particular robot set, which that's really annoying too. And you can only have one side quest going at once, which is a baffling design decision. That really bugged me. So yeah, like the combat is okay. Like it's enjoyable. It's not amazing or anything. I think the combat in Gotcha Force and Custom Robo even has more like variety to it, really. And I don't know. Overall, it's okay. There's like a card game in here too. Apparently, and there's some free DLC that's pretty cool. But yeah, gameplay wise, it's just it's nothing terrible or anything. I hated the story and all the dialogue. And it's the battling was enjoyable, but it just wasn't quite enjoyable enough for me to just want to push through that story. Apparently, there's a bunch of post-game content too. I mean, if you really get into this game, there's a lot here to cover. There's a lot of content. Visually, it looks like an older 3DS game for sure. The visuals, it looks identical to Pokemon X and Y. Like, the character models all have like this black outline around them, very similar to Pokemon X and Y. The game looks fine. I don't know, the look of the game overall is rather generic. In fact, the game in general just felt generic for me. But yeah, another thing with the gameplay too that's disappointing with this game, you can battle your friends, but only local play. There's no online whatsoever, which is a huge missed opportunity. Like, I don't know. I think online play should have definitely been in here. But yeah. So yeah, visuals. The game looks fine. It looks okay. Audio wise, the music is generic too. Actually, I didn't care for any of the music in this game. There's voice acting, which is surprising, and there's some anime cutscenes too here, which are pretty high quality. I was surprised to see anime cutscenes, and the voice acting, there's not too much of it, but what is in the game is actually pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. There's not a whole lot to this game, but if you really love robot combat games and customizing, you might get something out of this. For me though, it's just one of those games that it's okay, it's decent, but it's there's just so many good games out there, especially now that I'd rather be playing that I don't know, it's and just the fact that I hated the story and dialogue so much in this game, I don't know, it's hard for me to push through. I just got to a point like 12 hours in where I was just like, I'm really not feeling this. So yeah, a bit unfortunate. That said, I don't entirely regret my purchase because I do think I will come back to this. Probably, I don't know when, but I do think I will come back to it. But not as good as I hoped, honestly, because I am a huge fan of Gotcha Force and Custom Robo, which are two games that I highly recommend on the GameCube, especially Gotcha Force. Unfortunately, that game has like a rabid cult following, and if you want that game, be prepared to pay. I'm serious here. That game is like up to like $250 now on eBay. It's a very uncommon game for the GameCube too. So if you see that game for like a good price, buy it because yeah, that game went up like that. That might be the most expensive GameCube game now. Honestly, I can't think of any other than like that Pokemon box thing, which is not even really a game, but. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. But yeah, Little Baller's experience. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. That's all there is about to say. That's all there is to say about it, really. I guess. But anyways, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.